track. Get in position and wait for my go.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Erkley. Welcome to your Friday edition of the PE Crime Blotter. Manuel Guzman will now serve consecutive life sentences after he was sentenced in a Riverside courtroom on a Friday morning for the murder of a San Jacinto boxer. I'm joined now by Press Enterprise's John Asbury. John, you were in the courtroom earlier today. We understand it involved him tricking the victim on Facebook.
Yeah, this all came down. Guzman had set up this Facebook page posing as a woman named Rebecca, and 3 men had responded to the ads prior to this happening, but they had been dissuaded because they didn't see a phone number, and the whole plot was that this young man would then lead these gentleman callers to the woman that was depicted on the Facebook. But the victim in this case, Eddie Leal, responded, and the family just said he was a kind, trusting soul, and eventually met up with Guzman, who ultimately killed him.
Now, these other men got suspicious when they took a further look at the Facebook page, but Leal, we understand, was supposed to meet up at a park with the woman, but it was in fact not the woman when he arrived.
Yeah, Guzman took him in a car, shot him multiple times from behind in the back seat, got out, and then began firing from outside the car, and then went inside, washed his clothes, and his father picked him up the next day. In court today, Guzman was tearful and weeping and said that he was too intoxicated to remember exactly what happened.
And we understand the judge was very critical of the cold-blooded nature of the killing. What was his response, Guzman, when he had a chance to talk?
Well, Guzman, he really just ranted throughout the whole thing. He read a long, rambling letter talking about how he had since found God. His letter was titled Fairy Tales because he said he didn't believe in the Bible, but eventually, only upon his arrest and really up until the sentencing today, was the first time he showed remorse. He said that he had been possessed by the devil. He blamed his parents. He blamed his teachers, relatives for calling him an embarrassment, his long history of drug use, and ultimately said, you know, how could God let the devil take me down like this?
He was actually 17 years old when he committed the killing. How was he treated as an adult?
Well, often in these cases, the DA's office can decide to try a juvenile as an adult. In this case, he was only a few months away from being 18, so it was an easier decision. What did come into play was the defense argued a Supreme Court ruling that the Supreme Court recently decided that it was cruel and unusual punishment to have a juvenile serve life in prison without parole. But the judge pointed out in that Supreme Court case that in those cases, the suspects who were sentenced to life without parole were only 14. So there is quite a difference of maturity in this case.
All right, John, thank you for joining us. That does it for your Friday edition of the PE Crime Blotter. Be sure to stay tuned right here on PE.com for the latest on this story.